afraid to take. I'm sitting there like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Ask Mathis. I'm your host, Reggie Mathis, and rocking with me is my brother, Wild Man Teddy T, a.k.a. Baron Theo Mound-builder.
Yes, y'all. What's happening?
Man, bruh, we in it, man. So, congratulations to Spain, man. I'm telling you, I wasn't rooting for somebody as hard in a long time as I was rooting for anybody but Venezuela, bro. And they really gave us anybody, man, because Spain, you know, they probably second or third as far as on that whole racism monkey stuff, because they had won either basketball. I think, matter of fact, I think it was basketball. They had won some, if not the Olympics, they had won some international basketball game, and they had a lot of the NBA Spanish guys. You know, I think one that played for the Lakers, I think another one that played for Cleveland, but they had, you know, these Spanish guys, and they took the picture, and then the behind the scenes footage focuses on some monkey stuff. And I'm like, hold on, I know these dudes, and none of them like stars on the team, so I know they couldn't survive that in the NBA locker room, saying like, what's up with y'all? But, you know, the fact that two of their key players were straight up black, I was all in for Spain, bro. I was all in, and I think I like Messi. You know, I didn't know much about him. I heard he was the best player. So when he came and became the face of Miami football, I'm like, cool, because I like for the local teams to do well, and it never hurts to bring the best player in the world to your city. You know, you got all these Messi jerseys and all these Messi fans. You know, MB's son, you know, is a huge Messi fan. They all going to the soccer games. My daughter, I'm like, I didn't even know she knew anything about soccer. 6 years old, talking about Messi. Like, what? You know, you never know where they pick up, what they paying attention to. So I was going against for Argentina, man, just because just the way they roll, bro. Like, you know, and the fact that we had the president and the Secretary of State sitting up in the booth, you know, after the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, comes out with that, you know, bogus statement about, oh, it ain't no Disney movie in Argentina. Like, why is there no black players on Argentina? You know, and that made me feel a kind of way. It wouldn't make me feel a kind of way if someone said, why there no black players on Germany, or why there no black players on Norway or Switzerland and Sweden, right? But a Latin American country, bruh, that's intentional. That's intentional, because you had millions of Africans there. So it wasn't like you just had a dot here and a dot there. Bruh, that is a real-time genocide. And we are watching the aftermath of the genocide and how the people are happy. They proud to be a part of this whole whitening, which is what the policy was called, the whitening of Argentina. And I guess they come in there and say, no, we see no color. We see country. We let everyone blend in. We were the first ones to eliminate slavery. You know, things which, you know, it's some pushback, because wherever you live, you probably thinking you live in the best place and whatnot, and all we doing is whatever. And I had a decent time when I went to Argentina. They got some of the best beef in the world. They steakhouses off the chain. I encourage you to go to an Argentinian steakhouse. You won't be disappointed. I'm just disappointed in the people, bruh, and how, you know, they're on the beach, man, getting into it on South Beach. Bruh, they out there calling folks the hard R on South Beach, man, and getting knocked out, because this is not the place This ain't the place for it. Then Atlanta, hard iron in Atlanta. So when the police came to like stop the situation or whatever, I'm telling you, it did something to my soul where they just was in there like with the color of law, just beating the hell out of folks. Like, oh, you didn't know? You don't know where you are? Bro, you are in Atlanta. Atlanta. And you coming in here with the hard R in Atlanta, who you gonna call? Because wherever you end up going, the people in authority, as my guy says, it occurred to me. Them suckers had authority. Man.
Melanated beings everywhere.
So yeah. But I just was not feeling Argentina and their whole origin story, bro. How they proud of it and how our people, is coming in there, man. That was the most disappointing thing I witnessed Marco Rubio be a part of. And now he's getting the top 5, man. And they talking about this guy's, likely guy for president. They say Marco is the one that's running Venezuela. So you running Venezuela, but you in New York at the championship game. You down at China. You everywhere else. So are you really running the place? I don't know, man. This thing is just...
You know how your man works.
This thing is just, it's just getting out of control, bro. Like, this is the emperor's new clothes. And people are saying, like, the emperor has no clothes. And he still got folks riding for him super. And that's really alarming, or it should be alarming, how folks have suspended reason, rationale. The man said, no more foreign wars. Where we at? Right? He done went and took the president from Venezuela. He done fired on the people in Nigeria. And we in war with Iran. A war of choice that he said was over. But 2 people just got killed yesterday. 2 troops just got killed to add to the number yesterday. 8 strikes in a row. And Iran is retaliating.
Anytime.
And they still looking for, another soldier out of Jordan. American troops that's in there. And they talking about, man, these folks on these bases are being carpet bombed. So does that sound like they got no army, they got no navy? Bro, I've been watching this series on the American 250 and the revolution and whatnot, man, and how George Washington became who he was, as far as a military guy, through lots of mistakes. And one of the mistakes that George Washington made is that they ended up, firing on a diplomatic mission. Some people who had, from France, some French officers who had, peace. There was no declared war, nothing like that. They was on a mission to, a diplomatic mission. And Washington and the Virginians that they were calling them, he was leading some Virginian folks and some Native Americans that was, rocking with him. They was talking about the whole Ohio River Valley, saying that Ohio River Valley was very contentious because France controlled from Canada all the way down. And there was a gap, but then they had New Orleans. So they was saying they was wanting to link that and have France control that, which means they got a buffer zone to British expansion, because they basically was pinning the British in onto the east side.
Yeah, that's what the French and Indian War was all about.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. So, and that's where George Washington got his chops. You know, he was, you know, in the with the British, fighting with the British in the French-American War, and you know, just going through it. But it was basically saying that he didn't even know, because it was the Native American and their leader that they call his name the Half King, and saying that the Half King had his own agenda, because the folks that the Native Americans who was really in control, you know, Teddy, that was really in control of the Ohio River Valley, you know, the tribe. It was a panel of, I think they said, of 6 that
How the Nazi,
the Iroquois.
Iroquois, yeah, because that's where the Iroquois, that's
the
where the
Iroquois.
Articles of Confederation come from the Iroquois.
So it was saying the Iroquois were the most powerful in that river valley. So there was like this guy, the Half King, that Washington was with. He had his own little fiefdom, you know, he had his own little power, but it was like little did George Washington know that when they had these guys surrender and the wounded and whatnot, that they fired on. First of all, they fired on some people that was there on the diplomatic mission, right? That's mistake one from our founder, right? As he's getting his military chops. But then number 2, Half King was paying back another debt that that he felt that the French owed, embarrassed him from back in the day, and they ended up killing the hostages. They ended up killing the prisoners of war. So that, you know, got back and really messed up Washington's reputation, you know, at the time. But it was like, that's where, you know, that was his first battle.
That was his lessons. He was
those were the lessons, right? So 22 years later, and that lesson was like July 4th, but it was like 1760 something. Like it was crazy. But just, you know, looking at, you know, the situation and looking at, you know, the founders and how he got his chops and, you know, the stuff that he was doing. But, you know, when you really start looking at history different and you start understanding, like, man, bro, that was propaganda. Like, really, like they teaching you stuff and you thinking like if somebody giving it to you that is accurate,
I mean,
but
like,
it's not. But a kid, if you got tests on it, you gotta learn it that way.
So none of that chop down the apple tree or nothing like that.
But that's what I want to tell you. See, at that time, you had the Delaware Moors. That's where, you know, when they was in Philadelphia, you're dealing with the Delaware Moors. So to chop it down to the cherry tree was the taking away of the Moorish flag that was and that was ruling at the time. Like George Washington had a relationship with Morocco. That's why they did the treaty, the friendship and treaty element. You know what I'm saying? So he was tied in with the Moors. You know what I mean? So now when they chopped down the cherry tree, that was the element of saying the Moors wasn't in control no more, because the pyramid and the eagle is the Moors and the Masons became one. So you got these disagreeable Moors who got with the Freemasons. And then that's when they set up the District of Columbia, because Philadelphia was already, the Moors already, the Delaware Moors is already there.
Teddy, where the hell you learn this stuff from, man? What you bought this
It's out there.
Teddy, we going to the campsites.
You know what I'm saying?
Teddy,
It's in my family.
at the campsites.
It's my family.
The teas and the
like King George
and the peyote.
King George II.
Mushrooms.
King George II was black. He went to make a deal with Pocahontas' family and said that the colonists that would come over, they would be in the reservations, and that the rest of the land belonged to the indigenous people. And always remember, when the Europeans came, when their children were born in America, what were they? Native American. You understand?
So interesting. I take one thing that Teddy said, and I still, it's thing I respect the most is Teddy stick with it.
Oh, yeah.
So he gonna come back with the same thing. So I ain't trying to take him from it. But what I try to do is try to find out from whence it came and to see if I can tie in some other sources. Now, one of the sources, to your point, was that, but I don't know if the dates add up, but it's dealing with Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson. So the Cherokee in particular went to the Supreme Court. And when they went to the Supreme Court
1835.
about their land, the Supreme Court sided in favor of the Cherokee.
The Cherokee, 1835.
They sided with the Cherokee, but then that's when, and that's why the comparison to Trump, because Andrew Jackson basically said to John Marshall, who was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and he's the one that is given the credit for making the courts, the judiciary branch, a co-equal branch. Because before that, folks did not see them as such. They was like, okay, you got the president. He's not a king. We already said he's not a king, but he has these enumerated powers. And so the executive has always been trying to get more power, increase the power. Then you got the legislature. It's like, of course, we can identify with Parliament back in England. We can identify with, having some representatives from the people, the rich people, House of Lords, which is supposed to be the Senate here, and then the common people, let that be the House of Representatives, which is the House of Commons in England. People understood that, but the whole notion, but we're going to have the judiciary serve as the third branch, that was foreign to the rest of the world. And it wasn't really working so well in the U.S. until the case of Marbury versus Madison. And Marbury versus Madison is when Justice Marshall came up with the principle of judicial review. When he came up with the principle of judicial review, that essentially said that the courts have the ability to look at laws, and look at conduct, look at whatever action is before it, to apply it to the Constitution. And despite if that was 100% vote, 100-0 in the Senate, or unanimous in the House, if we say it's unconstitutional, it's a wrap. It's unconstitutional. So the power, that's called the power of judicial review. So once in Marbury versus Madison, they came out with that decision saying that, no one can appeal the U.S. Supreme Court's decision and judicial review. If they deem it to be unconstitutional, it's a wrap. Right? So in response to that, for the Cherokee case, President Andrew Jackson basically said, okay, let Justice Marshall come in and enforce it. Let him come in and enforce it. And 3 years later, because they had no marshals, they had nobody to come in and say the federal troops, because the federal troops is under the commander-in-chief. So that would have been under the president. So it was like, okay, let the court come in and enforce it. So while they figuring out how they gonna come and enforce it, we're gonna take their lands and end up putting them on these reservations. And that was the point, that I was saying, that in that Supreme Court case, they may have been under the impression that the other folks is gonna come and get these other lands, but our land is how we're going to do it. He said, let them enforce it, and within 3 years, you got the Trail of Tears.
Right. Well, the Johnson versus McIntosh, it was the actual Supreme Court decision that made the Trail of Tears, because McIntosh and Johnson was both trying to buy land from indigenous people, and Matt, the same guy, he said because the United States conquered the land through the discovery doctrine, that they had the right to take the land and only the Indians could take them. That's why I asked you before, how can an international law be used as a point to make a decision in America?
Yeah, it can't.
And that's what happened.
No, it can't. It can't. You have international courts. You have which is at the Hague.
When you go back to
so
look
you
at
can't
that,
even you can't even take.
that's
You
what
can cite to it. You can cite to it in terms of saying it's based on this. Like you'll go and see decisions that will reference, say, the Magna Carta.
Mhm.
You know, but the Magna Carta is not a law in the U.S.
Mhm.
You know, so you can reference it. You can go in there, and perhaps I could see where it would come into play, but no foreign law specifically the Supreme Court is supposed to utilize in its decision making.
In that situation, it did, and that's what created the Trail of Tears. Because at that point, they said that no Native Americans could sell no land no more to private citizens. Only the United States can buy land, and at that point, that's when the Trail of Tears, 1825, and everything started after that. It's called Johnson versus McIntosh.
Teddy with the Cakes Law.
I mean, because that's what took away our identity as Native Americans when they said that we was Negroes, as reclassification, which was nothing denied, but these all became lawful situations. It became a lawful thing that now Indians were now Negroes, and then everything went down from there in 1920.
Teddy, what would be a good source where you get all this information?
So let me read what this says. According to the treaty ending the Revolutionary War. So we still in the 1700s, and you were saying 1800s.
Yeah, 1825.
So,
Johnson versus McIntosh.
So 1823.
Yeah, around there.
Okay, Johnson versus McIntosh.
That's it.
Plaintiffs sought to have certain land grants purportedly made by Indian tribal chiefs recognized by the United States government. The title of land which has been discovered and conquered belongs entirely to the conquering nation, subject only to the right of those natives present to occupy the land. At issue were two purported grants of land by Indian tribes to private individuals, one in 1773 and the other 1775. The lands constituted the Illinois and Piankashaw nations. Here the plaintiffs sought to have the United States government recognize the plaintiff's title to the lands which were alleged to have passed under the grants. Issue: may Indian tribes give a legally recognizable title in land to private individuals, such that the title may be received by the private person and upheld against any claims by courts of the United States. Hell, no. The judgment of the District Court of Illinois denying the plaintiff's right to assert title to lands purportedly granted is affirmed. The rules of property must be drawn from and decided by the nation in which the property is the subject matter of the lawsuit lies. Due to the historical precedents established by the European discovery of this North America and the subsequent conquest and division thereof, the rule was that among the nations of Europe, title properly belonged to the nation which discovered the new land.
Discovery doctrine.
Incident to the principle that title belonged to the nation which discovered the new land was a subsequent diminishment of the natives' ability to dispose of their land. This impairment of native sovereignty was subject to the recognition that the natives could live on the land, but that they could not grant the land to a private individual. This was the case because the land itself was subject to the dominion and control of the nation which discovered and conquered it. The remaining question is whether the United States accepted or rejected the historical principle. According to the treaty ending the Revolutionary War, Great Britain relinquished any claim to proprietary and territorial rights of the United States. Thus, the United States owned the entirety of the lands which was situated within the boundaries of the states existing at that time, it follows that those natives who live within such boundaries did not own title to the land. Therefore, the plaintiff does not have a title recognizable by the United States.
Mm-hmm. And they took away our title at that point. That's when everything became statutes, federal statutes.
Teddy with the knowledge.
So what that basically says, and it to me it has nothing to do with international law or the treaty.
That's what they said. The discovery conquered. That's what discovery doctrine is.
To me, what it has to do with is the fact at that particular time that whoever is on a place, wherever it is, you know, and a conflict takes place, and you come in and you say it's mine, that is, you know, we win.
Mm-hmm.
To the victor go the spoils.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's not a international law that's going on. What that is the government, the United States government, who set up the government within the United States, is basically saying everything in our government is legitimized, meaning this ours. Right? So you have to start from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. We won.
We won. We got to start from somewhere. So with all y'all saying or whatever, nah, that ain't none of y'all's. Right? And so the problem that I see here is you probably had, and I'm sure you had, folks that was, you know, tribes that was giving up land or, you know, selling land and doing other kind of stuff, and people was riding with it. But then with this decision right here, they saying, bro, it ain't worth nothing. And they could have done the same thing. And the reason why I say it's not an international, it's a national law, because you could have said the same thing about women, like saying that, and there have been cases that property could not be passed down from a woman to
children,
to her children or some other stuff or whatever. Like it is a, you know, it is something that the government decides, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
when they're saying the European discovery, that was the discovery doctrine. That's how the 7 countries of Europe went to war in America with the discovery doctrine, starting with Spain. Spain was the first country to go against us in 1500, and they started coming over. The Moors, which were the Moors and the Jews, from 1492. You know what I'm saying? So then became Britain, France, Germany. All the countries came to conquer us at one time as being the Aboriginal indigenous people. They came and took Native Americans from here first before they brought Africans over to America.
So there wasn't any laws that were established
Like
by the nation itself until the Declaration of Independence.
Or Articles of Confederation.
No. Articles of Confederation is the laws that they're going to be bound by.
Right.
The Declaration of Independence is when they gave notice to Britain that we're no longer
underneath your
subject to your jurisdiction.
Right.
And so you leave voluntarily or you fight. And whoever win this thing, and that's what you also heard a reference in here where it says, and when they signed the document to end the Revolutionary War, that the British signed away all their rights.
Right.
And look at France and Haiti. So all you gotta do is look at the difference between America or the United States and France and Haiti. Mm-hmm. So Haiti came out, they had a revolt, they killed the slave masters and whatnot, and was like, we independent, 1804. This us. And then France said, nah, we gonna regroup and we about to sit. We gonna regroup.
You know what I'm saying?
And we about to send
more
hell over there.
Unless y'all pay.
We about to send hell over there. unless y'all sign this document right here that said X, Y, and Z. So it was just you see a different way that they was doing it. And you got to look at that time. But fast forward it right now. What do we see going on right now in Israel?
Same thing.
And with Palestine?
Same thing, repopulation.
What you feel me? Like, what do we
Repopulation.
see right now? And your boy Trump say the silent stuff out loud. He said the quiet stuff out loud. What did he say? You know what I mean? Like, I see a big Trump, Trump East,
Turn it to Las
Trump
Vegas.
Middle East, Trump Middle East.
When you ride up Palm Beach and you see Donald Trump Airport, that's my first time
Bruh.
seeing that this weekend.
Bruh.
The Donald Trump Airport.
Haiti not still paying, are they?
Yeah.
They just finished. They finished
they
in
just
like
finished.
19, I think it was before 1957. But
Oh,
was
they finished
paying
the
a
contract.
long time.
Or
They paid, or they, I don't know if they paid all the way up, but they paid for over 100 years. And whether or not international was like stop, whatever, or they paid, it was 150 million, which, you know,
it's crazy.
over time.
All the resources they took from Haiti, and they still had to pay.
Right.
Like-
So you see the difference.
Yeah.
So perhaps Haiti held out, but it was like, man, somebody was like, man, they ain't gonna never give us peace, freedom. Let's go ahead and take this, and we're gonna build it up so bad that if they do try to come over here and regulate, you know, we have our weapons right.
Because that's what happened with the what's his name, King George. When the French and Indian War, they didn't move the Declaration Line. The Declaration Line was at the Appalachian Mountain, and then it moved to the Mississippi River, and then it moved to Oklahoma. Each time, you know, different laws moved it. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's definitely true. That part was definitely true because you had, like I said, you had the British that was in control. The what's called the 13 colonies, which was the most kind of like industrial, because they had it down to a science as far as how, you know, they was getting along. But the French, on the other hand, they was rolling from Canada down, and it was more with the trapping and with the furs
Lewis
and with
Clark.
the type of stuff that they was doing. And so Napoleon, because he was in war, so many wars back in Europe, you know, he basically was like gave up Haiti in order to
come back.
to fight, you know, the stuff that he had going on over there. So your man Stephon Diggs, let's pray for him, bro, because you know he's been a crash out guy for about the last, I want to say 2 years. I never heard of the guy. He had a good season.
Yeah.
Then I heard of the guy. Then, you know, he started being outside,
Pregnating girls.
and letting people know, like, I'm outside, which is something that folks have long said about football players. It was like, man, for whatever reason, because, you know, we're in Miami. So South Beach, you go have a study, real life study, South Beach. The people that spend the most money in the club are professional football players. Why? It's crazy. Because they wear helmets. And because they wear helmets,
They don't know who they look like. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right.
They feel like they can't stunt
The gladiators.
the way the basketball players
'Cause they
stunt.
can be
The
seen,
way
their
they
brand.
can't be seen. So when they go out, they make the most noise. They want to be seen. They spend the most money. They spend the most money because they want to be seen. And so combine that with the internet going viral and all the other stuff that you got to contend with now. Like, bruh, the NFL, I want to say in 5 years, is going to be like the Jetsons. It's going to be like the Jetsons. And the reason why I say that,
What you mean by that?
I'm glad you asked. Because, bro, you're making 100,000aires in high school now with NIL.
Yeah.
You're making millionaires
In college.
in college. So by the time you know, they make it to the NFL, that hunger is no longer there. What's gonna
For the physicality.
what's gonna substitute for it?
Mm-hmm.
What's gonna substitute for it, bro? Like they said with the All-Star games, man. Why waste your money on the All-Star game when the folks not playing hard? I'm talking about the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They not playing hard in the NBA All-Star game. Why am I wasting my money? What am I going to see? You know, they gotta fully do entertainment. They're gonna have to probably hire someone from the WWE. You know, it's crazy
For the marketing.
for marketing and to come up, bro. Like if this is entertainment, let's be entertainment.
Entertainment.
That's like you see the new baseball league, the banana thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
People actually go out to see that.
Mm-hmm.
They say we like the Harlem Globetrotters.
Right.
Of this thing. So Stephon Diggs, bro, he get linked to Carly, get her pregnant. Then he got twins and other kids and like from other places while he's having a public relationship with Cardi. And then they got him on some yacht with some randos where he giving them like pink powder. They like, what does Buddy need a mental evaluation? Like, what he doing? And now you done come full circle, and now you being sued by a dude talking about it's something else you like that the people don't know.
Yep.
You like it both sides. You like Dwight Howard.
All of those guys in the locker room.
Yeah, so man.
Locker room fantasies, they call it.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, bro.
It's weird out here.
I'm good. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
You think he coming to the Dolphins?
Oh man.
Is that just too much drama, man, to come down?
I
Because
think
Dolphins don't make a move right now, bro. We haven't won the Super Bowl since '73. We like the new Knicks.
Yeah.
We the new Knicks, bro. We haven't won since '73
at all.
They got us, man. Anyway,
give a good fight though.
Man, bro, I don't even know what we gonna do.
I got bet because of betting.
What we gonna do?
Because of betting with the Dolphins.
I don't know what we gonna do, man. But we get Stephon Diggs down here. Have we heard anything about Malik Willis? Like, you know, how's he doing? Like, is he the guy? I haven't seen no jerseys. Is he signed? Is he gonna be the number one? Is he competing? Those questions and more as I look at this invoice from the Dolphin Stadium for that suite. It's a 3-year commitment. It's like, well, y'all gonna make us endure this, huh? Y'all threatening to sue us. Y'all said threatening to sue us if we don't pay for the suite for this year. Y'all gonna sue us. But y'all ain't telling us what product y'all about to put out there on that field. So we got to be here every week or in here, whatever. We could be doing something totally different, but we got to be here. All right, man.
FIFA blew their head up.
Yeah. Shout out FIFA though. So man, Trump, man, they cropped out his photos. You know, that's crazy. He was out there he was doing a lot. I ain't gonna say he was doing the most. But I'm glad everybody came and shook his hand and just kept it moving. Yeah, let's go with that cartoon. We've been trying to give him a little. And then let's go to the chubby lady after this cartoon. So here's a story about a drug dealer Teddy may know. I never heard of him.
He came to America with $7 and turned it into a cocaine empire he ran in his underwear. Adel Nasrallah was a Palestinian who immigrated to LA in the 50s. He started a hot dog stand, eventually opened a nightclub, dealt cocaine through it, then opened more. By the 70s, he ran a chain of clubs under the name Eddie Nash. He was worth $30 million. He blew $1 million a year freebasing cocaine in bikini briefs. Boogie Nights based a character on it. Then in 1981, a crew of dealers robbed his mansion at gunpoint and made him beg for his life. 2 nights later, his men hit their house and bludgeoned 4 people to death, bloodier than the Manson murders. Nash bribed a juror $50,000 and walked. He came to America with...
You heard of him?
Uh-uh.
Eddie Nash.
That's him.
Let's see if he shows up in hip hop records.
I mean, that's the one thing. There's a lot of immigrants that have come here and have really did a number. You know, I think right now it's a thing. I think the immigrants are trying to take America from us, the Black Americans.
Oh yeah, bro. They think we lazy. They think we lazy. We think we don't deserve it.
You know what I mean? They
You
like
know,
they
and
want
they
it
not
all.
feeling. Yeah, they not feeling slavery. Yeah, they're not feeling slavery at all.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, that guy right. This lady right here. This is the lady of the alleged ICE shooter.
Oh,
And bruh, like this dude is nuts. But this is the guy that was, hired to get rid of the immigrants, right? Step. We all for that.
Yeah. Yeah, we all for getting rid of the immigrants.
Check it. Even the ones that's picking the fruit and the cotton, never been arrested before. Okay. Let's hear what she got.
Take his
I
job.
don't care what they do, as long as they don't get benefits.
They take his job.
As long as
They don't get no benefits. They don't get no benefits.
Shoot, not from what I done seen.
I mean, how's the emergency room?
They getting welfare and stuff.
No, man,
It's
bro.
a sign.
That's the
Loans.
that's the
that
ones that's
propaganda.
illegally.
They
The
know,
ones
'cause
that's illegally is getting that. But bro, the illegal ones, they can't risk putting down their stuff nowadays. That's a super duper trap. You can get you killed.
Well, I'm here for the ones that who they get here illegally. Then send the legal ones back.
Here we go. Check her out, bro. I heard one of his
He had
voicemails to
accepted
her.
a job with ICE. I thought that it was just a delusional thing because I'm used to him talking crazy, so to speak. So I said, yeah, sure you are, buddy. I didn't realize that he was actually working for ICE until yesterday, and I was completely shocked because I'm like, how do you keep getting into these jobs where you're around guns all the time? I asked him what was going on. He told me that I don't need to be answering questions for anybody, that all I needed to know was that it was a justified shooting and that he did do it. And he claimed that this man had tried to run him over. And I said, I don't see that in anything, and I've watched it from all angles. All I seen is how the car was going in circle after the fact. And then he's like, well, I need you to lie about my character because this is what it comes down to is my character. I don't want you talking about any of the abuse in our relationship. This is literally about me, Ashley. I told him that I was not going to lie for him, that I've waited years to speak my truth. I've been silenced long enough, and now I need to come out with everything because a man lost his life. So it was abuse, not only to me, but to our daughter. And even being divorced from him, I've dealt with harassing phone calls, threats of him wanting to kill me. I believe that this man was murdered. I believe that David's mental health played a part in what happened. I think what happened was he was standing there during that operation, had a PTSD moment and hit fight or flight mode. And unfortunately, a man lost his life due to it. David, back in November, brought up that he had accepted a job with ICE.
Yeah, so, bruh, I heard one of the messages to her, man, is not nice, man. And you see her, right? He calling her just every name you think can be called. He commenting on, she not taking care of the kid. You could tell he inebriated.
Right.
He gone. Cause he ain't not just talking at all. He was like, yeah, you had your kid. It's like you had your kid, you lost your kid because you wanted David to put it in. You wanted Dave to put his in you. You disgusting. Hey, bro, buddy just like on the whatever. And then I'm seeing that he suffered a head injury with something falling at some community college where he was like going to be a fireman or something like that, and he sued. And then within 2 years, now he's in this. So they was looking at the lawsuit and all the stuff he was alleging that he couldn't do, in the lawsuit or whatever because of his head injury. And then he ends up, here in ICE. And they're training these folks. They're not getting the normal training that they were getting. Like, they're on some expedited training, which is never cool because you skipping and skipping and skipping and skipping, and you just hoping that it messed up, man. But it was 2 murders just last week. And, bro, this is in Maine, man. Like, they killing them up in Maine? You can't tell me. Bro, have you ever even heard of anything that happens in Maine?
Mm-mm.
You heard of anything going on in Maine?
Mm-mm.
Pop it off. Man, they popped off in Maine. I can't think of nothing.
That's that old money.
To send-
Maine and New Hampshire. That's
Yeah,
all that
right,
old money.
Right, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, I remember when the first Daddy Bush was in office, and you talking about Kenny Bunkport,
Right, Kenny Bunkport.
New Hampshire. Like, what? Yeah, well, as soon as we break for the week, we out of here. We going to Kenny Bunkport. Right? And then Bangor, Maine is a place, I've heard in Maine, bro, but the population less than 5% black people. So, something got to be wrong for the Trump administration to send extra folks to Maine, bro. They're not meeting these quotas. The 2,000 a day quota to get folks up out of here, and that's why they making these mistakes. Instead of just saying, look, you ought to prioritize. The way y'all had the FBI most wanted list, I should have their most wanted list. The ICE most wanted list should be composed of people in your neighborhood, like this the last address. These are 10 people we looking for. If you see these 10 people, holler at us. You see these 10 people, holler at us. You see these 10 people, holler at us. We trying to get these people up out of here, right? We trying to get them up out of here. But they not doing that. What they doing is they just coming to make a horror movie. That's it. They just want to make a horror movie of to scare people, to what, self-deport? Or to make it look like they doing something. What does it look like to you, Step? If Trump was on the ballot in 2028, still with him?
Nah, he done did enough damage.
For real?
Yeah, he done did enough.
Wow. Hey, you know what? It's not as bad. It's not as bad. It's not as bad as them saying all the folks that be coming up for confirmation hearings, whether they judges, whatever department of intelligence, whatever it is. Like, who won the 2020 election? None of us say it, bro. It's like, man, we're in 2026. We done moved on.
I was never. I needed for him to, for our community to understand that this whole political system is not for us. He definitely did his job. It's time for him to go and wrench around and get out of the way.
He been growing on me.
He been growing on you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you got to really look at the things that he do for the long run. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff that he's doing, it kind of makes sense. It's like right now we've been underneath this Democratic situation for so long that we don't really know what's going on. And really all the old Democrats just became the Republicans.
Well, your boy out of Pennsylvania is threatening the one that wear the hoodies.
Mm-hmm.
Fetterman saying he out of here. He's like, if they defund Israel, sending money to Israel, why we keep sending money to Israel, man? Netanyahu, with all this genocide that's going on, bro.
That's that old school Rothschild.
No, man.
They got to.
Nah, but that's the thing. And all the leaders are claiming to all the leaders, you know, Jeffries, Hakeem Jeffries, and all the leaders in the Democrats, they all are talking about, you know, 100 Democrats voted against funding the Israelis. And then what? The leadership said no. Mm-hmm. So why is that? They're against what their party is. So the fact that they're against what their party is, like, what does that mean? You're against what your party is. Folks want you to be ass out. They want you to be mad. And y'all coming like, nah, we ain't gonna be mad. We not gonna be mad. Why? Why be mad? Because we not gonna get that AIPAC money.
Yeah.
Because that AIPAC money that's what's dictating these races.
That's some serious money too.
Yeah, that AIPAC money is dictating these races. So they like, man, you know, I said that, man, but I ain't really.
I mean, you got this Black Rock and Trump thing going on. You know, that's, you know, Trump is allied with some folk that want to do some things, and he's like, as long as I get this, I don't care.
What does he want, man? That's the question. What does he want? What does an 80-year-old man want? Nobody.
He got power. He won't.
He want to stay out of jail.
I don't think.
I just think he wants an extensive legacy.
Well, in the beginning, he absolutely was concerned.
Yeah,
he had to win.
That was the number
he
one.
had to win.
Yeah, he passed.
All the stuff went away by him winning. He sent the $5 million to the lady who's E. Jean Carroll. Mm-hmm. Sent the $5 million to her, which was a half a day, because he been hitting these scrubs with the currency, the cryptocurrency. That don't mean nothing. There's people pay 20, 35 grand and they say, man, it's a souvenir, but it made him $1 billion. That's.
I think from here on out, it's just ego legacy right now. Mm-hmm. That's the only. He did all he wanted to do. He
got the airport in Palm Beach. Mm-hmm. They trying to get the arch built. Well, he won't be alive for that arch to be built, and I don't see nobody keeping that name. You know, but. What can these guys do?
Have the Democrats submitted to Trump yet?
No.
They haven't?
Nope. But they less popular. They less popular. And the folks that's winning the Democratic primaries Trump has labeled them communists. Mm. He done already skipped socialists. he done labeled them communists. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna see if it resonates. You know, and then they weird enough, y'all Democrats weird enough to accept the labels. Mm-hmm. Y'all calling yourselves social democrat, like democratic socialists.
They take it and
go. So y'all taking it like, okay, we're gonna be that.
That's us.
And you, right, like you said, like we gonna be that. That's us. We defund the police. A lady out here crying because the police ain't come. They're not responding on time. Well, yeah, man, they so, they tone deaf? I don't know what tone deaf.
Yeah, they out of touch. They until they get back to being a party of the common man and start holding on to these straw man issues and these trying to defend the far left. It's easy. The middle is ready for the picking.
Yeah.
How can the common man more associate with a billionaire than a whole crew of billionaires than he does to the guy that's supposed to be actually giving aid?
Well, I wish the vast majority of the electorate were like you, Step. Where you listen to reason, you will listen, and you got strong opinions based on your observation, and you can say, I like this. Yeah, I know I don't like the rhetoric. I don't like the sound, but XYZ, like that's what I'm on.
You know what? I feel like I have how the political landscape has taken on. I feel like I have more in common with the billionaire than I have with the transgender.
Oh, of course, I would hope so.
Well,
and that's a wild statement.
I mean, we'll delve into
Think
that.
about that, 'cause that's
something
entrepreneurial
we're gonna
to
put on. We're gonna stick on the wall,
You're
and we're
not a
gonna have to
social
return to
person.
that. We don't have enough time to address that.
It's actually a false statement. Of course, I got more in common with a transgender. We around the same people.
I don't have problems with the transgender, bruh. Like, but it's still like, when I see somebody, I'm like, wow, like they got hair like a girl, but a face like a man, and I'm like, are they transitioning into that? Are they on their pills? Are they waiting to get to where they are? And I respect that, and I'm gonna tell you why I respect it. I respect it because imagine like what you gotta say, how much confidence you gotta have to leave your crib every day. You gotta look in the mirror and you like, man, people gonna be staring at me today. They're gonna be wondering, my voice is changing. But I'm so, I'm just going through it so much in my own skin because I can't be who I wanna be. I respect that.
I absolutely respect.
And I don't want to be. I don't want to be the one that's sitting there like making your life, your everyday, difficult. And I believe 99 point whatever % not out there on the crazy stuff. We seeing like the ones that's on the crazy stuff, these pedophiles and whatnot, don't look like what folks are thinking that pedophiles would look like, which are transgender people. Like those aren't the pedophiles. Because, bruh, certain people are not going to be your top criminals. You're not going to have a bunch of little people, midget robbers. You just not going to have it. You know what I mean? They might want to, but they're not going to probably be very successful because they're not going to be able to get past the surveillance. They're not going to be able to get past a lot of the different things to be like, this, them. So it's just certain folks that if they do commit those crimes, which I'm not saying they don't, I doubt that they're going to be very successful in doing that when you already got such a spotlight already on you. The folks that is out here luring these kids, these guys that's out here acting MAGA, because what we say, if you are arsonist, become a firefighter. If you're a murderer, become a detective, a homicide detective. It's certain occupations and pursuits you can have to be around, whatever. So what did they say? The Grindr site was on half mad, half staff for Lindsey Graham's passing. They say the Grindr site was damn near offline at the Republican convention. So these, they got all this going on, and they conceal it with the alcohol. It's like I could get so drunk I can blame anything on the liquor.
Yeah, that's the purpose. It's his fault.
That I can be racist, I can be sexist, I can be whatever, man. I can do that, blame it on the liquor. And this race right here for Florida's Congressional 24, where Oliver Gilbert is number one polling at 27%, followed by Chevron Jones, who's at 24%. And then you have 1% with actually Kendrick Meek's son. And so what I'm hearing, I haven't gotten confirmation, but what I'm hearing is that Meek and Jones are going hard after the LGBTQ. They're like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it.